All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 63 of the Everything NYJ Podcast. Liam Johnson, Gino Italy, Jet Pagano, and we have the very own NYJ Mike. Mike, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Hope the holidays were great. Very, very festive and cheerful and magical time of the year. The Jets are still alive.
Somehow,
Feeling
some
good.
way, man. It
Yep.
was the Tua clause, as everyone's calling them. Tua.
I mean, if Tua was concussed, it makes a lot more sense what happened on Sunday, but we'll take it.
That's a scary situation, man. If that's really like what happened and he has another concussion, geez, like you think about the player, man. Like I think about the human being. Like I don't like the Miami Dolphins, but like I don't want to, see a player go down like that, man. It's scary stuff.
No, head
Gino, what are
stuff.
you thinking?
You don't fuck with head stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
my first thought, of course, is Tua. Then is the next two games for the Dolphins, but
Yeah, no, I thought that too. I said, well,
Right.
hopefully doing okay. But it's very interesting. I was curious to see what you guys think. I don't know if this is good or bad for the Jets. It's very close. If let's say
Well-
Tua misses the next two games.
Yeah.
well, we've been in that situation before. I mean, Sauce will have to just take out Teddy Bridgewater again, and then we got Skylar Thompson again.
Yeah, no, I mean it's obviously good for the Jets week 18 if you go play Miami, but you do need the Dolphins, or you hope the Dolphins beat the Patriots. So
Yes.
it's dicey.
I don't think they're getting past Buffalo though. I don't think Buffalo's gonna rest their starters because they want that number 1 seed over Kansas City.
There is yes, of course. So there is a scenario where the Chiefs lose to the Broncos, the Bills beat the Bengals, and the Bills lock up the number 1 seed, which is unlikely, but it's tough.
Gino,
It's
you all right?
I hit my foot. Sorry.
I just see Gino like screaming in pain.
Sorry. Go on. Sorry, Mike. Go on.
It's very important what I was saying. Please don't interrupt me by smashing your foot again. This is very serious stuff.
Woo.
Yeah.
We have the
All right.
world.
No, I don't see Buffalo lose to Denver though, honestly, man. Like Denver's just taking nibbles right now.
Yeah, I mean,
They just got rid of Hackett. Russell Wilson playing the worst football of his life.
yeah,
Not really
look,
banking on it,
there's- you never know in the National Football League, weird shit happens. In the event that Buffalo does need to rest their starters in Week 18, you just hope that the Dolphins could take care of business on Sunday. And look, there's the thing. Matt and I were talking about it on our podcast where
Which the name of the podcast is what?
very nice, going to name drop it, the Broadway Jets podcast. We got to have you guys on, which we talked about last time I was on here, which was awesome.
Yeah, so in for the invite.
Yeah, no, we'll do. We record once a week, and we're two.
I get you. It's cool, man.
Good.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But there is the event where the Dolphins Patriots game is at 1:00 on Sunday. The Jets Seahawks game is on the West Coast at 4:00 or 4:25. If there's that scenario where the Dolphins beat the Patriots and Robert Saleh goes into the locker room and is like, "Hey boys, the Patriots just lost 20-17. We control our own destiny. Let's go beat the fuck out of the Seahawks," which is just exciting stuff.
Which they absolutely have to, man. It's like even like going into Thursday night, like the season arguably was on the line at that point, and like they came out flat, they came out unprepared, and that should have been like a business trip. And then you have freaking Quincy Williams, dressing up as like the Grinch and everything. It's like, come on, man, like I'm all for like player fun and everything, but like that was a business trip. That should have been get your shit together because we're handling business, and that's kind of like an indictment on coaching a little bit. Like Robert Saleh, like he needs to be. I get it, he's a player's coach, but at the same time, you need to be like, listen, guys, like there's a lot riding on this game tonight, and I just feel like they weren't there. Like they didn't show up, they didn't play great, and a lot of that I think was contributed to Zach Wilson. They knew Zach was playing.
Yes.
And dude, I was watching Zach on the sidelines. Nobody was next to him. He was kind of sitting by himself the whole time. Players weren't really just associating with him. So I don't know. Hopefully, like the return of Mike White is a lot bigger than even like we think it is. Hopefully, the players just come out and respond to him. Hopefully, he hasn't missed a beat, and we could handle our own business. How far do you think Mike White starting goes for the Jets?
I think it's huge. The Jets are averaging 420 yards a game on offense with Mike White. They're averaging 280 with Zach Wilson. You want to talk about wins and red zone efficiency, etc. The Jets can clean up some stuff, man. I think the Jets are a really good team that need to do a couple of things to become a great team. We've only seen the Jets with their real, best possible unit for a couple of series this season. And this is without Brees and without AVT because, they're out for the season. You have to forget about it. But, with Mike White and this defense intact and the full receiving core, you saw it only a couple of quarters. You saw it in the Bears game. You saw some of it in the Vikings and the Bills games. Mike White was awesome moving the ball down the field. Jets are 1 for 6 in the red zone against the Vikings. There have been some struggles on third down on defense. Like you said, they obviously came out a little bit flat in the Jaguars game. I think that was the one game this year since the Bengals or the Ravens game early on in the season where the Jets came out and just had a stinker all around. That was the frustrating thing. You go on Twitter and it's like, people are like, defense isn't as good as we thought, and this team is an embarrassment, and it's a complete collapse. I don't know if it's a complete collapse. You are 7-4, you lose 4 in a row. All 4 teams are either in the playoffs or on the cusp of the playoffs. You're playing the 2 seeds from both conferences. The Bills might be the 1 seed. It's a difficult situation. You lost both those games on the road to the Bills and the Vikings, and then you have a chance to take care of business at home against 2 teams that are on the outside looking in on the playoff picture, and the Lions and the Jaguars, but both teams that were hot, and you lose those games with what is now your backup or third string quarterback, which is difficult. So I'm excited to see Mike White on Sunday. I think that the team gets energized when he plays. The offensive line plays a little bit better. Hopefully the run game will be there. And, these guys know that they're going to get the ball a little bit more. Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, et cetera, when White's under center than when Zach is. Like you said before, Liam, the air gets taken out when Zach is playing, and it's a shame. Nobody knew, I'm not the guy, and I'm not an impatient fan. I wanted Sam to stay before the Jets drafted Zach Wilson. Do I know? Look, does that show that I know anything? No. Sam is probably also a failure. It's just the fact that I'm not saying I don't like constant change. I don't want to change the coach every 2 seconds. I don't want to change the quarterback every 2 seconds, but the writing's on the wall. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't look like he could read a defense. It doesn't look like he could be accurate in the NFL. So I'm very, very excited that Mike White is back. The Jets needed 5 things to happen last weekend. They needed the Steelers to beat the Raiders. They needed the Texans to beat the Titans. They needed the Patriots to lose. They needed the Dolphins to lose. All those things happened. And the 5th thing was Mike White's ribs are okay and cleared to play. And all 5 happened, and we have a real chance, and it's very exciting.
I like it. For me, I know we haven't played good against Seattle in a long time. I know it's hard to play in Seattle too. I mean, that 12th man, the fans are intense. But I think for me, I love that Mike White's back. I know we're getting some injuries back too, and I think everything's coming at the right time. We got a Christmas gift that we're still alive, right? But I'm worried about the O-line. I'm not really worried about the running game, though. I'm more worried about the O-line because you got one guy playing with one arm, one guy playing with one leg, and then you never know what the other 3. Like, it's at a down year, so it's like, that's going to happen. I feel like Mike White is one more hit away from maybe getting injured again. And that's what kind of freaks me out a little
Scary
bit.
stuff.
That's what kind of freaks me out a little bit because I don't want Zach Wilson to be back in. I'd rather they put Strevler in. But I think it's going to be a very good game.
Zach's going to be inactive anyway, so.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to go down to the end again. It's going to go down the wire. It's the Jets. We always make it close. But I think it's going to be high scoring, though, because Gino can be very squiggly. He definitely knows his guys. Got to see what Lockett's going to do coming back, maybe. And then
he's hurt, right?
He is hurt, but I don't know.
I thought he was going to be out also. I hope not. I know it's his hand.
You never know, though, with wide receivers because they say they're going to be out, but they might come back in. So
I mean, Terrell Owens might sign with the Cowboys.
Dude, I know. What the heck? Hey, you know what? Hey, maybe next week Ocho Cinco is going to come back to play for someone, right? But it's really
him and Reeves they're still fighting.
Yeah, they're still. That was awesome.
Probably.
My main concern with the offensive line too is like the penalties, especially with George Fant, dude. We cannot play sloppy. Enough with the false starts, enough with the 3rd and longs.
Yeah.
So that's probably like
blocking
besides like
on the back for no reason.
Yeah. But I do think that Mike White gives us the best chance to win. I just want the whole line to step up, get that running game going, spread the field. I mean, we got a really good team. It's just I think it'll come together, but Coach Salah's got to be good with time management still. And I think Pete Carroll's going to be ready for them. They all got history, with the Jets, Geno and Pete. So that's going to be motivation.
Pete Carroll's going to chew so much gum. Oh my god,
he's going to bitch so much. He's going to
chew gum. Yeah, people forget Pete Carroll was the Jets coach during the fake spike.
Right,
the Jets were 6-5 at that point in 1994, and then lost out with Boomer. It's a shame.
Right. So it's going to be a great game, but I think it will go down to the wire, though.
The good thing too is sorry to cut you off, Mike, real quick.
No.
Robert Saleh has experience with Seattle, playing in Seattle, even coaching there. So hopefully that can kind of weather the storm a little bit. He just listen, guys, they kind of know what to expect, so hopefully that plays a factor too. But not to mention, dude, we've been going into hostile environments all season long and playing very competitive football. We were in Buffalo, Minnesota, just to name a few. Green Bay,
nice.
Steelers, so it's we could win on the road. I'm not really worried about that 12th man. I'm not really worried about the stadium that we're playing in, to be completely honest with you. In years past, I have been worried. This year, I'm not, though.
Okay.
Yeah, look, Geno Smith has had a terrific season, a season that I never thought he would have. I thought Geno was a piece of shit when he was on the Jets.
Yeah.
He left, and he left.
Geno loves Geno.
Well, Geno has said nothing but good things about the Jets. I have nothing bad to say about him.
Right.
But I was not expecting a 27 touchdown, 9 interception, 4,000-yard season with a 71% completion percentage. I was not. That being said, Pro Bowl and well-deserved. I think the Jets match up very well against the Seahawks team, especially if Lockett's out. The Jets have the 2 corners that can match up with those 2 guys. Noah Fant might be a problem inside, but the Seahawks have the 26th defense in football. It's very similar to the Lions game. It's a team on the fringe of the NFC playoffs that is having a much better than expected offensive season, a down year defensively. The only difference now is that we have our quarterback, and you could really stick it to the Seahawks team. Think about what the Lions did. The Lions stacked the box against the Jets and Zach Wilson. Zach was able to throw for 315 yards because, the Lions they were again stacking the box and daring the Jets to throw the ball. But this time, the Seahawks are not going to have the capability of doing that. Good luck. Stack the box, and Mike White will pick them apart. And Mike LaFleur, people have their qualms with him, but the thing I like about LaFleur is he is very dedicated to breaking tendency. I think when the defense thinks the Jets are going to do one thing, he will continuously do the other thing and stick to that. It's not about running the ball a certain amount of times, not about throwing it a certain amount of times. He's very good at breaking tendency. So I think in a game like this, it'll really help. Gino, you were talking about the Jets' offensive line. I agree there are there are definitely some concerns. The Seahawks have one good pass rusher. It's the Nuoso guy who's 9 sacks.
Yeah.
You can contain him. This is not a particularly good defense. So the Jets need to score some points, stick it to them, and I think this is a good matchup on paper for the Jets.
I think 2 things. So one, I think if the Jets were not as injured like this year, and if we had White early, I think we would have only lost maybe 4 or 5 games. If you see every single game we played after Zach Wilson came back, we have been neck and neck with these guys. We are our own worst enemy when it comes to that last 5 to 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. But what's different about this Jets team is we made it close all the way through. It's been
a very good fourth quarter team this year.
Exactly. One of the best in the NFL, along with the Vikings. Yeah. So and then it's crazy. We got to talk about playoffs. We would have already been in it if we haven't had all that. But things happen. Injuries happen. I totally get that. But it's really nice to be excited about a team that will keep getting chances. We just got to capitalize on them.
Just keep don't make the stupid mistakes, and Robert Saleh says all the time, and it's really true, that most games are lost, not won. And it seems like those other teams aren't necessarily beating us. We're beating ourselves. We are losing the game, whether it's Braxton Berrios dropping a touchdown pass or whatever the situation. We've all seen the heartbreaking losses each and every week. And then to go out and just get completely embarrassed on primetime television by the Jacksonville Jaguars, hopefully all of this, because we've been terrible coming out of the bye, hopefully all of this is enough to kind of put us over that edge and just be listen, we know that we're a better team than this. This isn't the New York Jets where no matter how good you are, you're just expected to lose. These guys don't know losing. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, all these guys, they don't know losing. So with that being said, it's Just go into Seattle, handle your business, play clean football. I'm very confident that we get a win. And I'm very confident about Miami. I think that we have a real chance here. I think it's very true that we control our own destiny.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about the Patriots. I think that they're going to lose a game, like we said off air. It comes down to the Jets. How bad do we want this? That's what that's what it comes down to.
I mean, if you said before the season that the Jets would be 7-8, 2 wins and a Patriots loss gets you in the playoffs, everybody would have signed up for it. You have to manage expectations in a season like this. You were 7-4, and you had some winnable games on the slate, but no easy games. And again, the reason why I was frustrated after the Jaguars game, where people go online and trash the Jets for lack of effort, lack of caring, talk shit about the defense. I can't get on board with that because they have played absolutely vicious games every single game this season, aside from the Jaguars game. You could say stuff about the Bengals and the Ravens game, but man, they've been in every single game. They've played their dicks off. And it's been tough. And look, and then you come out and in the most important game of the season, which we've said a million times, there's been the most important game of the season the last 6 or 7 games. But in the most important game of the season, like you guys were saying, facing elimination, you lay an egg. It's hard to look at. It was hard to watch. But I'm just beyond excited to have Mike White back, and I'm really confident. I think the Jets are going to win these last 2 games. And I think there's a really good chance to make the playoffs. There is a 91% chance that the Jets make the playoffs if they win the last 2, which, is the percent chance that the Patriots don't win the last 2. So very exciting stuff, and should be positive, should be a good feeling from this season. There were close games the Jets lost. They also did pull out some games, like the Browns game always comes to mind as, a statistical anomaly. You should lose that game. So, you could trade that for one of these last couple of games. Doesn't really – the Steelers game as well. You're down 10 points with 5 minutes left. You're probably going to lose that game. Doesn't really make it feel better the last 4 weeks, but, to say this team hasn't executed in those situations all year is tough. Got to take care of business now, though. If they do lose these last 2 games in stupid fashion, is going to be hard to swallow.
That's going to definitely be – do you think that's going to be an indictment on the coaching staff? And do you think that – I don't think Robert Saleh gets fired at the end of the season by any means.
No, Saleh can't get fired.
Do you think that there will be any changes to the coaching staff if that is the case?
Look, I wouldn't. I like what the Jets have done this year. I had my problems early in the season with Jeff Ulbrich. I think a lot of people did too.
We all did.
This defensive line rotation is annoying, but it's worked this year. The Jets are a little bit stubborn, I think, on defense. They're a little bit inflexible. Matt and I were talking about on our podcast, the Broadway Jets podcast, where we're talking about how it seems like opposing teams, if it's 4th and 1, 4th and inches, can QB sneak at will and automatically get a first down against the Jets because they play that wide 4-front defensive formation where it's, it'll just be like Nathan Shepard against 3 offensive linemen and the quarterback. How is he possibly going to stop them? So it's honestly annoying. And they do the same thing every time. They rush 4 most of the time. CJ Mosley will do that thing where he comes in, pretends to blitz, and then backs out. Fine. Or CJ Mosley will jump over the whole offensive line and get an encroachment and ruin the game. But
that's
fine. But it's like, so they do a little bit inflexible shit. I think Saleh's done a terrific job this year, especially on defense. You look on the defense, it's everything that could have gone right has gone right. Sauce is an all-pro type guy. Quinnen, all-pro. DJ Reed, Pro Bowl type dude. The middle linebackers playing better than we thought. The safeties, until the last couple of weeks, playing over their heads, rotating his defensive line. James Robinson trade was horrible. Pops up on the bottom of the screen. So I think Saleh and company have done a really good job. And again, any of those games that we talked about could have went the other way. The Vikings game, the fucking Bills game, if Mike White doesn't get hurt.
Detroit
the Lions game, if Mike White plays, or, that was the one play. We were just talking about 4th and 1 situations where it's like the Jets will just play a regular 4-man front on 4th and 1. Finally they go into like a goal line set against the Lions, and the Lions throw a 50-yard touchdown. So the fuck do I know? But it's like,
6 in the red zone too is just
1 for 6.
You know what bothered me too?
Could have been 2 for 6 though.
It could have been, but wasn't.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. What bothered me too, and like you kind of mentioned, like the whole QB sneak thing, is when we saw Strevor out there, it was like 4th and 1, and they make him a pocket passer all of a sudden. It's like
They
it's
do
just
some
like
weird shit.
Mike
Yeah.
LaFleur, like I like him and I want him back next season, but excuse me, but he needs to clean a couple things up too, man. Like he's by no means have been perfect, but
He did
everything
lose
just
his
looks.
he lost his two best players on offense. Like
Yes,
what would the Jets defense look like if Sauce and Quinnen went out for the season? It's not
right.
easy. So you
No,
lose
yeah,
Deuce and
absolutely.
AVT. And then the Jets are still on pace, and this is with Zach Wilson playing like he's in college for 10 games. The Jets are still on pace to throw for over 4,000 yards, something we haven't seen in our lifetimes, really. Maybe 2015, I think the Jets threw for like 4,100 yards as a team. But it seems like LaFleur has guys open. Maybe he goes away from the run a little bit. Maybe he's a little pass happy. I just think he's a complete tendency breaker. I do like his play calling, but I do agree. I think on 3rd and 4th and 1, the Jets on offense and defense have struggled. And
Yeah,
it's a little
3rd down. Oh,
frustrating.
100%.
3rd down in general on defense has been really annoying.
Even 4th down sometimes on both sides.
Yes, get the fuck off the field. Why do we have to live a 97-yard drive to the stupid Jaguars? It's obnoxious. It is obnoxious. But then again, it's like people are
Sucks all
blaming
the air
the
out of the
defense.
stadium too.
Yeah, of course.
Long
And then
drives.
people are blaming the defense, and they haven't played terrific the last couple of weeks. But you let up 13 points on offense to the Lions because of the punt return, and you let up 19 points to the Jaguars. So, we're going to sit here and say, oh, the defense really let us down, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, they've let up 32 points in 2 games. Woe is me. They let up 18.5 points to the Bills in 2 games. The Vikings game, they forced 6 punts in the second half. They've done enough where the offense could pick them up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I absolutely agree. Do you think that we're going to see any packages with Strevor moving forward? Do you think that was kind of just like a little flash in the pan?
I suggested that on Twitter today. The Paul Riley is great on Twitter. Who's the lawyer guy who, if I'm like, hey, the Jets are getting Aaron Rodgers, he's like, well, actually, his cap hit is this, bang, 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 bang. He's amazing. If I get into legal trouble, I'm going to hire Paul. But yeah, look, I have no problem with a Strevler type package, a Taysom Hill kind of thing, or a Tebow, whatever you want to call it. I'm just glad we know that Chris Strevler cannot start an NFL game. He's not a real professional thrower. For example, the pass to CJ Uzama, which Uzama was wide open for a walk-in touchdown.
And throws.
It's just one of the worst throws ever, and Uzama makes a diving catch. The crowd cheers because they haven't seen anything, down the field in the entire game. But that would have made it 16-10. That was a frustrating play. But you have to appreciate Strevler's toughness, and he's running. He's just a guy off the street. He's running and getting smashed. And
looks like a tight end out there.
He looks like a tight end, right? But at least we know he can't be a quarterback. But yes, if use him for 3 or 4 or 5 plays in the game and try to switch something up, and the Seahawks defense comes in to defend the run, and you want to throw one over the top, or you want to run the wildcat with him. No, fine, go ahead. I would be happy with that. But the thing is, if Denzel Mims and Jeff Smith are both healthy, which they're maybe on track to playing, I don't think the Jets are going to dress 3 quarterbacks. And you can't have Strevler as the backup. You got to use Flacco. So he might not be active. If he is active, go ahead and use him for 3, 4, or 5 plays.
Gino, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally understand what comes with the 3 guys, with the 3 guys. But I think overall, Flacco would definitely be a better backup, but I know Strevler what he could do, and I understand. I mean, just like his throwing wasn't really that impressive, but the way he bulldozes guy and gets the guy's juice a little bit, and the way he runs, and his physical appearance kind of reminds me of like a tight end what Tebow was trying to do with the Jaguars. Trying out to be a tight end when he was a quarterback. So I totally get that, Mike. But I think overall, if you're gonna put a guy that's a backup, and I agree they shouldn't dress 3. I think they should just address 2, but you got to wonder what the offensive line is going to do. So if I was them, I wouldn't even do Zach Wilson, and I'm kind of going with either Strevler or Flacco, because Strevler brings that type of juice, but Flacco brings that he could stay in the pocket, and if he could bring that Browns presence, that game when he won, right? I think it could be different, but overall, it's going to be a very interesting situation.
Yeah.
See,
like,
I'm almost like tempted to dress 3 for this game just because you can't trust Mike White to stay healthy.
I agree with
And
you, William. I agree.
Yeah.
so, and Flacco, I mean, the last time we saw him on the field was disgusting, and I stand by what I said that I don't ever want to see him in a Jets jersey again. With that being said, I don't
Well, you
necessarily
might
want
have
to
to.
see. I don't necessarily. Yeah, let's do knock on wood that we hope that we don't. I don't necessarily want to see Strevler as the number 2 quarterback either. But I'm thinking maybe for this game you do dress him, or maybe even just keep Zach as a backup. I mean, it is what it is. Like Zach's gonna be here next year. I don't care what anybody says.
Right.
Well, you could trade him, but it's also
Gotta give him 3 years.
Depends where you go, and if the Raiders, you want to get their car, and the Raiders like Zach.
We're gonna get to all that in a second. I plan on.
I would
shifting over
imagine.
to them.
But yeah, to dress 3 guys, I think it makes sense this game too. Because look, if Mike White's ribs give out, and then you have Strevler,
Strevler can come in.
Sure, if you have Strevler as your backup, and Flacco's inactive, and so is Zach, and then Strevler's throwing himself around the field like a maniac, and he gets hurt. Now you're fucked. You have Braxton Berrios running the Wildcat. You're probably not going to win the game.
Yeah.
And then the problem with Flacco is he is acting like a statue and can't stop fumbling every single time he gets touched, which is very obnoxious. I always like Flacco. I like veteran quarterbacks. I like guys who will stay in the pocket. I like guys who will run the offense. It's hard to argue at this point with how many times Flacco has just stood in the pocket and gotten strip sacked. It has been obnoxious. I understand. I would definitely trust him, though, a guy who started hundreds of NFL games over Chris Strevler in a must-win game.
Yeah.
So, cut to my head, I'll use Flacco as my backup. I would dress 3 guys this week. If the Jets want to activate Jeff Smith and Denzel Mims and go with 2 quarterbacks, give me Flacco as the backup.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm kind of expecting a big game from Garrett Wilson as well. Garrett Wilson's like 4 yards away from reaching 1,000 yards. He could be a 1,200-yard receiver by the end of the year. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
How do I comment on this stuff? Let's see. How do I comment in our chat?
Do you see where does it say post a comment?
It says comments. See Abby Fresh.
Yeah. Why do we have to? Because we're the Jets, Abby. That's why. Because we can't ever have nice things.
Nice things. We always gotta make it difficult. Gotta always make it difficult.
It is.
It does say that. It doesn't. It doesn't say post a comment. There's nowhere to say post a comment.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
Whatever. Well, either way, I could just speak. They don't have the power of voice. And I do.
There you go.
What's up? So, what do you guys want? You want Derek Carr?
No, I don't want Derek Carr.
No?
I don't want anybody.
I want Jimmy G.
I don't want anybody. Anybody. But if I had to, I would go out and maybe get Lamar or Minshew.
Maybe Lamar. Fuck
maybe.
Dude, Lamar's
it's
available.
not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. We all know this. But like,
take my fucking arms, my legs, whatever you want.
Take everything, right?
Well, the good thing is,
I already gave my ribs to Mike White, so I can't give up my ribs.
Then I could, if you take my ribs, I can, do some self.
Yeah.
We don't have to go into that. But
since I gave up my ribs, it's been great, dude.
It's a win-win.
Right.
Yeah.
But the good thing about
Jimmy G is too injury prone. I just don't think it's a. I don't.
So Gino, who you rolling with the next year then?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it is going to be, if Mike White continues to do what he's doing, this year without being injured, then I would sign him to a 3-year contract. If you can flip Zach, great. If you can't, I still wouldn't mind him being back. But I do like the Strevler, him being back. But if you get a guy that's a veteran, I wouldn't mind Minshew or like a Jacoby Brissett. But overall, there's not many options.
I disagree.
Like big
with
options.
You. I think this is the 1 year. This is a very interesting time in football because before the last couple of years, real terrific quarterbacks did not move around in the sport, whereas now they do. There are about 7 real options the Jets could use in 2023 that are legitimate guys that have won a lot of games in football. Let's go Aaron Rodgers, who very murky cap situation. I think the Packers have a $50 million cap hit if they trade Aaron Rodgers. But this is going to be the kind of scenario where the Packers are going to completely rebuild. You have Jordan Love on the roster.
Zach with it. Yeah, sure.
You could trade Zach. You could trade a couple first, whatever. If Rodgers wants to play 2 years, sign me up. Tom Brady's an option who I literally will vomit on camera, but he's an option. It's a real option. He's going to be a free agent. I don't think he's going back to Tampa Bay. I'll throw up everywhere, but we'll get over it.
I don't know if I could do that, man. I don't know.
But look, Brett Favre was on the Packers for 15 years, and then goes to the Vikings and almost won MVP, and they probably should have won the Super Bowl in 2009, or we should have won the Super Bowl in 2009.
I agree. We should have won,
Yeah. Now you have
Jones.
Derek Carr, who Matt tweeted out today, was a great tweet. I think Derek Carr would have the top 5 passing seasons in Jets history.
7. Yeah.
Yeah, like 5 of 7. Joe Namath did throw for 4,007 yards. So Derek Carr, second in the MVP in 2016, probably would have won if he didn't break his leg. Last year, threw for 4,800 yards, pretty much single-handedly willed the Raiders into the playoffs. And, his weapons aren't terrific. Now he has Devontae Adams, but he had Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller were his number 1 and 2. He's making all the calls at the line of scrimmage. He's never had a top 20 defense. So Derek Carr is very interesting, but he does suck in cold weather, and he cried for no reason after the Raiders lost the game this year. So
He did.
Pros and cons. There is Jimmy G, who we talked about, who wins everywhere he goes and knows the system and very handsome, would crush it in New York, but injury-prone, has not excelled in the playoffs. He's won games in the playoffs, but not really by his doing. You have guys like Lamar Jackson is the number 1, who's the MVP a couple years ago. Aaron Rodgers won a couple of MVPs. You have Ryan Tannehill, who's another winner, who's been in the playoffs a million times, who's a game manager, who, and I think Abby just commented it, who is throwing for 30-plus touchdowns in these kind of systems. So there is a lot of options. You have, and also Mike White. So there's a lot of guys that Jets can use. All of these guys, supply and demand, are going to lower the price of these quarterbacks, which is awesome. It's not like when Kirk Cousins was the one guy who was available and he got a fucking $1 billion contract. And hey, look, Kirk Cousins made the Pro Bowl 3 to 5 years and is 45-32 with the Vikings. So I think it's time the Jets get a veteran quarterback. There's a lot of options, exciting stuff. And even, Gino, you did mention there are even more options beyond this stuff with the Jacoby Brissetts and the Gardner Minshews of the world and that tier of guys. So the Jets have a lot of ways they can go. I'm very excited, but I would be very happy with any of the top 7 guys that I just mentioned.
I'm just picky. That's all. That's just all I'm saying.
I get why you're picky.
I'm picky as hell.
It's like you should be picky. This is the most important position of the most, it's the most important position in sports. And you should be picky, but the Jets are not, I
don't go for a young quarterback.
Don't
do a young quarterback again.
No, I don't want to do it. And look, it might work out, but we just don't know. But it's like if the Jets get fucking Derek Carr and he throws for 4,200 yards next year, we're not even going to believe what we're watching. It's going to be like, whoa, oh my God, he threw for 268 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, it's going to be fucking awesome. And we don't realize until you see it, but it's not a joke. This guy is a real professional guy.
Whoever comes in, I hope he does well, whatever direction they decide to go to, because I know they got connections with Jimmy G. I know they got connections with Lamar Jackson. So whatever, even if you bring Aaron Rodgers in, but like whatever they do, I'll cheer for them no matter what. It's just, I understand what you're saying, Mike and Liam, about, with the quarterback position that there's options, but is JD gonna do it? Like, because he always likes to do that trade, or like the Cashman deal, or like with the Herndon deal. Like, he always makes those trades, right? It always makes those interesting ones. So I could see it, but I'm over here like, I gotta believe it first. No, I'm not signing Breeze, bro.
I think
bring Drew Brees in as a quarterback coach.
Sure.
Sure, why not?
Well, honestly, because I've been hearing that Sean Payton was thinking about like Indianapolis or even Denver, and he even said he went on record and said that he would sign Drew Brees as his quarterback coach.
Is Joe Montana a free agent? But the thing with Joe Douglas is going into his 5th year as Jets GM next year. It's tough to miss on a number 2 overall pick quarterback and retain your job. Joe Douglas has done a really good job building this roster, and the Jets have
hands down,
immense flexibility. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the Jets roster, there are this is so ridiculous, Joe Montana.
Right.
There's only a couple of positions the Jets really need next year, besides quarterback, which is obviously the most important position in football. And the other needs on the team are the least important positions in football. Middle linebacker, which you still have guys. You have Mosey and Quincy, but you probably need to become younger in middle linebacker. Safety, and center, because Connor McGovern's a free agent.
Yeah,
those are the least help overall.
But you're getting AVT back, you're getting Becton back in whatever capacity he comes back. You have Max Mitchell. The Jets have pieces on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Right.
So
before we get, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Other than running back, those are the least important positions in football. So Joe Douglas has done a terrific job of setting up the Jets to do whatever the fuck they want. You can go out and trade 3 first-round picks. You can go for a quarterback. You can go out and sign a quarterback for $1 bajillion. You can go out and literally do whatever you want. So Joe Douglas should not be fired. The Jets,
never.
After a good season like this, it's tough to put any kind of playoff mandate. It's just difficult to not make the playoffs for 5 seasons and keep your job in football. So I think Joe Douglas is going to be very aggressive in getting a quarterback next season, because I don't know if he's going to survive, after
the New York market after that.
And again, the Jets this has been a very positive season. This is the kind of stepping stone that you want. You win 4 games last year. You win between 7 and 9 games this year. Hopefully you make the playoffs. If you don't, you're going into next year with really a lot of pressure on you to make the playoffs, and you're in a fucking loaded AFC. Look at all these quarterbacks, man. You have to go against Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. That's just 4 guys, and those teams are all winning 11-plus games this year. And then you have teams like the Raiders that were supposed to be better. You have teams like the Steelers. You have teams like the Browns with Deshaun Watson and all these weapons that are probably going to be good next year. In our own division, the Dolphins are very difficult. It's a loaded conference. The Titans, the Jaguars. So the Jets are not in an easy position going into next year. Joe Douglas has to be aggressive in the offseason at quarterback.
Yeah, and a lot of one-year deals too on both sides of the ball, and also Q. We got to resign Q. We got to resign Quincy. Yes. A lot of people need to resign too. He's going to have to pick and choose.
Just give Quincy and Q one combined contract,
a package brother deal.
Yeah,
I love it.
That would be awesome. But yeah, man, like I kind of agree with Gino. Like I'm at the point where I've come to accept the Jets just can't develop a quarterback. They haven't been able to do it since Chad
Mike White, motherfucker.
Hey, for him to be cut 4 times and come back, I mean, props.
Yeah, he might be the real deal. We might have. I'm not completely against the idea that Mike White could be the guy moving forward. But with that being said,
gun to my head, if you told me Mike White is the quarterback next year, I am happy. Which I never thought I would say. Even last year is basically he did the same thing twice. Last year the Bengals game was insane, and then the Colts game, blah blah blah. He was playing great, he got hurt, and then the Bills game he was bad, and it was less consistent. This year I thought he played well in all 3 games that he played, but he's very similar numbers over the 2 years. If you would have told me after last year, you're like Mike White's the guy, I'm like, go fuck yourself. Right now, I agree with a lot of these people. A lot of people feel the same way.
I got some hostility in the chat.
Yeah.
I'd roll with Mike White. Like, what is he going to do? If he plays like he plays this year, he's probably going to throw for 4,200 yards and throw for fucking whatever million touchdowns. This is it looks like a professional quarterback, and he's a dog. He's a dude. I am scared of it's like when he gets smashed, it looks like he's going to literally die.
Yeah. And he's going to die out there, dude. He even said that we have to scrape him off the field. So we're gonna have to get ready for that one day. But the whole thing is if we are gonna go outside and draft a quarterback, sign a quarterback, excuse me. I think I would just go with Jimmy G. Yes, he's injury prone, but the idea is that our offensive line should ideally be better next year. He has all the connections with Saleh. He knows the system already, so you're not really bringing in somebody that has to learn the system. Now, granted, the Saleh system is not really difficult. Other teams all throughout the NFL implement it. It's really pretty much just like the West Coast offense. Really nothing crazy. But it's just Jimmy G, just in my mind, makes the most sense. Dude Derek Carr, he's going through getting benched right now. Like, he's just not playing great. I've never really been like a Derek Carr fan. Like, he's never like really moved the needle for me. If he comes here and does well, I'm gonna root for him. If the Jets sign him, I'm gonna cheer him on.
I was
Lamar,
very impressed. Yeah, last year with Derek Carr, though, again, 4,800 yards, 4,800 yards, and he controls the line of scrimmage. He makes the calls. He audibles. He puts you in the right side. He can, of course, read the defense.
He's a veteran quarterback.
He's
just a competent quarterback.
I think I think he's a top 10 to 12 guy in the league, which is something the Jets probably haven't had since Brett Favre made the Pro Bowl, or Fitzpatrick in 2015 was a top 10 guy. And then you win games with those guys. But I get it. But the good thing is, if we're arguing between Derek Carr, Jimmy G, these are real fucking guys. These are legitimate quarterbacks in football. Jimmy G is 40-18 as a starter. Again, Derek Carr threw 4,800 yards with nothing and willed his team into the playoffs. It's exciting stuff. It's a good argument to have. Mike White could be a franchise guy out of nowhere. These are good problems to have.
Yeah. Brady, I don't think I could handle that, dude. I really don't. Like, I don't know what I would do, man.
I get it.
He ruined my childhood. Like, I'm 23. All I know is Brady beating me up my entire life.
100%. He ruined our childhood, and it's disturbing. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, do I want to win a Super Bowl? Yeah. Would I rather win a Super Bowl with anybody but Brady? Yeah.
Because if Brady comes here, it's going to be about Brady winning a Super Bowl with the Jets. It's not going to be about the Jets winning a Super Bowl. It's going to be about Brady. I want no part of that. I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. To me, Tom Brady has like syphilis. I don't want anything to do with him. Don't come near me. He's sick. That's the way I look at him. Don't come near me.
I get it. I totally get it. That's not something I'll argue too much, but it's,
I don't think he's going to either way. I mean, he hates the Jets anyway.
Yeah, maybe he hates Bill Belichick more. I think the more likely spots Tua has some problems. He can go to Miami. He can go to the Raiders. He can go to
I'm thinking he's going.
The 49ers, but now Brock Purdy's a legend.
What about San Francisco?
Yeah, exactly. Purdy and Lance is tough, but yeah, I'm sure they would take him. Or maybe
even Baltimore. If maybe Lamar moves on, I think he still might be a little bit bitter, that with his whole contract situation. I just like the Baltimore Ravens. They're not stupid though. Like I think they realize what they have in Lamar, and maybe they just wanted to confirm what they already knew. So maybe that's why they held out the way they did. Whatever the situation is, they're very competent. I don't see Lamar moving, man. I really don't.
Completely agree. Unless Lamar Jackson forces his way out for whatever reason, he can't leave. I mean, they have a top 5 head coach. They have the best system. It doesn't make sense. Why leave? What happened? You win 12 games every year? NYJ Mike. No, that was Vinny, what's up, bro? That was Vinny has a great Twitter account. NYJ Matt.
He's the character.
The guy that started the rumor that Gase became an offensive coordinator at high school. In Lincoln
he was
High
supposed
School.
to be here too. He flaked on us tonight. So
yeah, Matt fucking flaked. God damn it. But if that's Vinny and the Jets, that's on Twitter. He's terrific.
Yes.
There's two of them. There's two of them. There's two Vinny and the Jets.
I think Vinny and the THA Jets. I don't know if it's the same guy, but
it's not.
But they're both.
They're
both good.
Whatever, Vinny. You're great yourself, man. Don't let anybody sell you short. I saw the Buffalo Jet fan was here before. He's a good Twitter guy.
Yep. He always brings me a good laugh.
Yeah, I gotta expand. We gotta expand to like TikTok. Are you guys on TikTok?
No, but I know I need to do it eventually. But I'm not.
Gotta do it. Oh, I'm so lazy.
Gino handles most of the social media. He handles Facebook and Instagram. I just do Twitter. And this whole thing just started off as a Twitter account. Like there was no podcast for a while. It was just me on Twitter. And not that I was a troll.
Yeah, you're definitely special, Vinny. You're definitely special.
Yeah.
Definitely special.
But yeah, that's kind of how this all started. Like I was not like a troll, but like I was always just like looking to get into like some juicy stuff on Twitter, So that's how that all started. Mike, can you play quarterback?
Hell yeah, bro. I actually put out when Zach Wilson did his pro day, I made my own pro day and mimicked the whole thing, which is kind of funny. It's on Twitter. I'll send it to you guys, but
yeah, you're gonna have to.
Dude, if you put me, we ask this question when we have guests on our podcast, which you guys will be at some point.
Hot take.
Before.
Hot take. Hot
So,
take.
wow.
Wow, Matt Smith. Never trust a guy. Like, Buffalo Jet fan. He says a lot of stuff. It's some stuff I will disagree with, but I do like his most of his takes. But anyway,
Yeah, hold on, Gino. Gino, you should make an OnlyFans Jets.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. I thought about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have thought about it.
Thank you, Chris. It's very
go for it.
Look at the heart.
Yeah, go for it.
When we have guests on our podcast, we always ask them. Well, not always, but sometimes we'll say, "Hey, look, if you were the quarterback of an NFL team, and I'll ask you guys this question: if you had the best of every position, the best offensive line, receivers, running back, tight end, and top 10 defense in the NFL at the time, what would your record be as a starting quarterback?
At the end of the season?
17-game season. You have the Jets defense, and you have the best possible. You have the all-pro offensive line, receivers, tight end, running back. You're the quarterback. Both of you
I'd be
guys.
20-0 in the Super Bowl MVP.
That's awesome. That's the right answer. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Gino, what do you got, bro?
What was it? What did you say?
You are the quarterback of an NFL team. You have the Jets defense this year. You have the best player at each position on the offense. You have an all-pro offensive line, receivers, running back, and tight ends. So you have fucking what's his face on the Raiders, Josh Jacobs, and you have the best possible receivers. You have fucking George Kittle. You have your left tackle is Tyron Smith or whoever. It's the best possible guy at each position, and then you're the quarterback, and you have the Jets defense this year. What is your record?
Man, I wouldn't lose a game.
So you're both 20-0. It's great.
Yeah.
Wouldn't lose a game.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, like I've been saying, we should have won almost every game this year if you didn't have that first part of the season because we were neck and neck all the time. So yeah, I would totally.
Yeah.
0 loss.
Mike, can you complete a screen pass?
Yeah. That's what he's saying. Can you complete a screen pass?
I think I can. I'm sure.
Do you know we might have something here?
What are you talking about?
We might have found our new quarterback.
Abby's going 12-5. Hell yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah, 12-5. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I mean 4 losses. Okay, cool. James, I like that too.
It's fun thing about I have a great arm. I throw a good ball.
What would your record be?
Oh, I think I would go 11-6. I think I'd manage the offense. It's tough. You're playing against these guys, big dudes. Honestly, I usually sit up in the 300 sections when Matt and I have season tickets at 309. Sometimes we go down, to the 100s when the end of the game or
same
with someone else, etc. When you go down there, man, these guys are fucking massive. Yeah. Holy shit! If
I saw Dwayne Brown, I was right next to Dwayne Brown. I'm like, holy shit,
dude! It's like what the fuck. So, these guys can get beat. Every all-pro guy gets beat. It's just, I got to get the ball out of my hands quick. But I think we go 11-6. Maybe I'll throw for 1,900, 2,000 yards. Again, you have to remember the last couple of years, the Jets quarterback is known for 2,200 yards. Last year, Zach Wilson. The year before, Sam Darnold. So.
Yeah,
it's not easy. It's not easy. He's not playing with all pros, but it's not easy.
Right. So before we wrap this up, I have a couple more questions for you. So, do we win out this season? Do we make the playoffs? What are you thinking in your gut?
I do. I think the Jets are going to win the last 2 games. I think Tua being out really helps. I'm expecting Tua not to play the rest of the season. It seems insane that he would. Mike White's back. Again, the Jets have. It cannot be overstated. The Jets are averaging 420 yards of offense with Mike White. That is an extraordinary number. Mike White is would be on pace to break all kinds of records with the Jets, throwing for 300 yards a game. I'm very excited. I think the offense is going to move the ball. I think both games are good matchups for the Jets. Both teams the Jets are playing are very wide receiver dependent, and the Jets, I think, have the best corner tandem in football. So good luck to both of those teams. I think the Patriots will lose one of the last 2 games. If the Patriots win out and the Jets win out, you tip your cap, you go 9-8. You have a season that nobody expected. If and look, Vinny and the Jets is asking an interesting question. If the Jets do win out and make the playoffs, does Mike White return as quarterback in 2023? Sure. It could. I have no problem with that in that situation. But man, I really do think the Jets are going to make it. I have a feeling this feels like a playoff team. This team is even better than a 7-8 record. 7-8 doesn't feel right. So, fuck yeah, man. Let's go.
It's almost like that Rex Ryan 2009 year where he's like, "Listen, guys, like we're out."
It's the same exact thing.
You know?
It's a great call by you because the same exact thing. 2009. Yeah. It's actually the only difference is the Jets were 4-6 in 2009. They went on a 3-game winning streak to be 7-6. They lost to the Falcons in a brutal game, 10-7.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And this is what you're referencing. Rex Ryan and Kerry Rhodes come out and say the Jets are mathematically eliminated. We're not. Everything
Peyton
broke
Manning
right.
gets benched.
And it's even before that happened, people were like 1,000 things had to go the Jets' way. They all did. Then Peyton Manning gets benched. The Jets beat the Colts. The Jets murder the Bengals on Sunday Night Football to go 9-7, make the playoffs, and then go on that crazy run. Very similar team, young team, great nucleus, terrific defense, amazing young corner. Early on coach in his tenure, defensive guy, fiery dudes, very, very exciting. A lot of parallels between that season and this season. And the one thing is that really makes you excited is this team is so set up for a lot of future success. Everybody's on rookie deals. These are young, insane dudes. How good are Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and AVT and Sauce going to be in a couple of years? Like, holy shit. This team's going to fucking murder people. So it's very exciting. And I do think the Jets are going to make the playoffs this year.
There you go. Hey, man, I'm all for it. I like the energy.
So
I agree, man.
Curtis Painter, I love forever, was the guy who created Peyton in 2009.
I mean, it can happen. We're right there. We control our own destiny. And like you said, I mean, like Robert Saleh even said today, like all this experience, like we've pretty much been like in these playoff like atmospheres, on the road, hostile territory, very good team. It comes down to the last play.
Yeah,
we can get it done, guys. Like we have the talent.
Not scared of any team. Fuck everybody. Look,
I'm not.
We beat Buffalo. We lost to Buffalo by a 1-score game. Lose to the Vikings.
I'm cool tying with Buffalo for the year. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. You would have taken that. You would have signed on the dot. But it's like you could play with these elite teams in football, and the Jets defense is so rugged and good. I'm not scared of anybody. If the Jets, sneak into the playoffs and go to Arrowhead, Kansas City week in the first round of playoffs, fuck them. Good luck. Quadruple team Travis Kelce and see what happens. So
someone's doing crack.
What's Matthew smoking? And Liam, get off my pan, man.
Yeah, Matthew, let me get some of that stuff.
Control this.
Oh yeah. Gino is comment bitch.
Yeah, that's right. you don't never forget.
Yeah.
It's just bitch. The Jets are in a really good spot. It's an exciting time. This is it's a team.
Oh wow,
that's amazing. It's a team that is ahead of where it's supposed to be player wise. 7-8. If you do go
exactly, 9-8, thank you, Porto. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mike. The chat's just like out of control right now.
No, the chat's out of control. The chat's exciting. Mike White's done enough to be the quarterback the rest of the year. If he leads the Jets to the playoffs, we'll see what happens, man. Like, again, this is the thing that is interesting about football and being a football fan, where we're sitting here right now. The Jets are 7-8. Mike White is 1-2 as a starter, has played well, but nobody's convinced of anything, right? If we come back in 2 weeks and the Jets are 9-8 and in the playoffs, things are escalating quickly. If we're 9-8 in the playoffs and Mike White has played really well in these last 2 games, we're going to be like, holy shit, we have our franchise guy. It's just things change very fast in football, where we don't know what's going to happen with Mike White right now. But I think in 2 weeks, if we reevaluate and you're like, hey, look, dude, he's 3-2. The Jets are in the playoffs now.
Yeah.
He might be the guy going forwards.
Yeah, definitely.
You got to at least consider him, at least try him out next year. I think that if that's the case, we can't get rid of him. Even if he's the backup next year, it's important that we do bench Zach for the rest of the year. We got to give Mike White the rest of the season because we might actually have some tangible progress with Mike White. We have to at least know what he is, at least evaluate him. Exciting times, man. We're talking about that. Imagine that.
We could be in the playoffs, man. Come on.
Yeah, playoffs. We could have Mike White and Tom Brady on the same team.
Yeah,
on the New York Jets.
Why not?
We could be in the fucking playoffs. It's really a thing. When the Jets were 7-4, it felt great, blah, blah, blah. We are 7-8 and somehow very much alive. The heart is beating. Not going to pull the plug. There's a real chance that by 4 o'clock on Sunday, 4:25, when the Jets kick off, we control our own destiny. What a feeling! It's unbelievable. Hasn't been that way since 2015. Hasn't even been close. Let's go enjoy it. It's very exciting, and I really truly believe if Zach Wilson was playing the last 2 weeks, I don't know how the Jets would win 2 games. Still find a way to be optimistic and excited and not shit on Zach, etc. It's not here to shit on any Jets player, but
right.
God damn it, we have the guy who's moving the ball, and we have the team is going to be fired up. We really have a good chance. It's exciting.
Yeah, and the important thing too is just like the defense. Get off the field, just do your job, get the offense on the field, man.
Yes,
that's one of the most important parts.
Yeah, I really feel good. I think the Jets are really going to make it. I swear to God. Again, if Zach is playing the last 2 games, or if Mike White's out and Flacco is playing, I would sit here and I would say a bunch of shit, and I would try to convince myself and convince all of you. But fucking Christ, I think they're going to make it. I really do. This is the real team. This is the best version of the Jets right now. There are injuries, and they suck, but all those guys are out for the season. Everybody else is here. Everybody's playing. Corey Davis.
I was just going to say that this isn't even the best New York Jets because of all the talent that we have on IR and guys that haven't even completed the season.
And you never know what's going to happen next year. You don't know what's going to happen next year.
That's
so
the
it's
point,
like this is a good team that's ready to win right now, this year, not next year, because you never know what's going to happen. If we don't get in the playoffs, like that's a wasted talent a little bit.
And think about football. People, guys play for 6-7 years if they're lucky. You can't waste seasons. You can't throw it away like that. That's why the Jets obviously had to bench Zach, but I'm glad they did because that's how you lose a locker room in sports, especially in a game like football where you don't know what these guys are going to be. Corey Davis might not be on the team next year. Carl Lawson might not be on the team. Who knows how long CJ Mosley is going to play?
Exactly. Who knows?
JFM. Conor Montgomery. You can't just punt a season. It's a disaster. I always remember. I always go back. I think it was maybe the 2012 Washington Nationals did not pitch Steven Strasburg in the playoffs because they said, hey, we're going to be here the next blah, blah, blah years. And they ended up winning a World Series 7 years later, but they can go fuck themselves because you don't know what the hell is going to happen in sports. You can't just punt a season like that. Insane.
Yeah.
So
it's so hard to win a championship everywhere. It's so hard to get there.
12 teams have never won a championship in football. It's insane. So, you always hear the woe is me Jets. I've been a fan. I've had season tickets for 48 years. Great. You're a terrific fan. Doesn't mean you have to give up on your team because they haven't won in 48 years. There's been 12 franchises who never even won. There's been 3 or 4 franchises who never got to the Super Bowl. So, until the Jets win, it's always going to be the same old Jets, blah, blah, blah. The Jets losing the championship game. People are going to be like, oh, I knew they were going to lose. They always fucking disappoint me. Yeah. Okay, man. Let's just we have a really good young nucleus. We have a chance to make the playoffs this year. We have some exciting stuff ahead of us. Very, very, very good spot for the Jets.
Agreed.
With that being said, Mike, are you going to the Super Bowl parade?
You know what's funny is I'm actually going to be in Arizona for the Super Bowl weekend. I have a buddy's bachelor party, so I'm going to be there. If the Jets do make the Super Bowl, this is very funny, I'm not going to Arizona. I'm locking myself in my parents' basement with my dad, and maybe Matt will be there, a couple other Jet fan friends, and calm, no outside distractions. We'll be watching the game very calmly. I will be at the Super Bowl parade. I don't know if I will survive the Super Bowl parade. There will be removal of clothing. There will be excessive alcohol consumption, potentially other drugs.
Like a typical episode of the Everything NYJ podcast.
Just like just now. Alcohol consumption. I'll take off my shirt.
I'll take off my shirt.
Gino has the Jets OnlyFans on the way. So we're typical episode of the Everything NYJ podcast. We were ready for this, man. We're absolutely ready for this. Dude, I don't know what I would do, man. I have no idea. I've already told my bosses because I got to call out on Sunday because I'm scheduled to work 6 to 10 at night. And
no, you're not working 6 to 10.
I am not working 6 to 10. No, absolutely not.
Just call me. I'll pretend I'm your grandfather's.
Shit.
I was making noise like I'm having a sickness or an illness, which is terrible to joke about, but this works.
That's what he would have wanted. That's what he would have wanted.
It's what he would have wanted. You're not working shit on Sunday. Fuck that.
No.
That's out of the question.
I told them, I was like, listen, like, I have watched my team suffer and lose all my life. This is like the first real success I am ever really tasting. I mean, I remember the Rex years, but I was like 10, you know? So it's like, this is the first year that I could actually enjoy this. I was like, I am not missing a game. I called out for the Denver game, you know? And I will gladly do it again. The Jets go to the playoffs, I'm not coming in. Yeah, they're so tough, man, so tough. And you can expect a lot more of them, too, because we're probably going to have a couple flex games next year.
Yeah, and I would imagine the Jets finally play on Sunday Night Football next year. It's well documented.
I hope so.
Fucking Matt, NYJ Matt, has been talking about this for years, where the Jets haven't played a Sunday Night Football game since 2011, or maybe early 2012. I think the first Jets-Patriots game that year was Sunday Night Football, but God damn it, man. What is it, 10, 11 years? There's a hilarious stat. The Giants are, in the last decade, Matt tweeted this out also, but I think the Giants are like 56 and 110 in the last, 10, 12 years. The Jets are like 53 and 113. And in that time, the Giants have played 19 Sunday Night Football games, and the Jets have played 0. So, fuck that. Jets will be on Sunday Night Football next year. Maybe they'll play the Giants. They do play the Giants.
That would be so funny.
Yeah.
I would love that.
So,
I would love that.
It's about time the Jets get back on the national stage. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Football is a sport of parity. It's not like baseball where, you could spend $1 trillion like the Mets are doing and do whatever the fuck you want. And there's still way more parity in baseball in terms of winning championships than in football. But for God's sake, to miss the playoffs for 12 years in football is stupidity.
Yeah, no, it is, but that's been the state of the Jets, man. I mean, Idzig and McCagnon and Bowles and Gaze, like, that's what it is.
I made a pact that I would never speak poorly about Mike McCagnon. I was the biggest Revis guy in the world, because I'm probably like 3 or 4 years older than you guys. You said you're 23.
I'm 23.
I'm 26.
I'm 30.
You're 30. So I'm right in the middle. I'm 26. So when I was 12, 13, 14, the Jets, it was like 2008, 2007. 2007 was the first year where I remember every single game, which is a garbage year. It's Kellen Clemens. The Jets were 4-12. 2008, you have Brett Favre. But the Jets drafted Revis in 2007. So that's my dude. That was always my guy. Right. I was growing up. I was like, all my passwords are Revis. If you want to hack me, go ahead.
Well, aren't you Mike? Wait, you're Mike Revis, you said, right?
Yeah, Mike Revis is my Instagram name if you want to look up my personal Instagram for whatever reason, but probably
don't do that.
Yeah, if you want to be creepy, whatever. But
why not?
So that's my fucking dude. And I get it. It's like, I don't even know where I was going with this. What were we just talking about? I drank too much wine.
That you would never talk bad about McCagnon.
Yes, thank you. So when the Jets brought back Darrelle Revis in 2015, I made a pact that I would never say anything poorly about Mike McCagnon, but he's a horrific GM. But other than that, that's all I'll say. But he is. Yeah. He was the 2015 NFL Executive of the Year. People forget that. And he drank 1,000 cups of coffee. He might drink more coffee than Pete Carroll chews gum.
Well, Adam Gase locks himself in an office with no windows and drinks coffee.
I'm never drinking coffee again.
Yeah, that's it. Now let me ask you something. How did you feel when you saw Darrelle Revis holding a Lombardi with New England?
It was very disturbing. I mean, it was. By the way, I just said the Jets should hire Adam Gase. What I meant to say was the Jets should hire Adam Gase to script the first drive of every game and then fire him after every single game. And then, be like, hey, Adam.
Maybe keep Dowell Loggins around for the second quarter.
Yeah. Just make Dowell Loggins throw the challenge for 8 games and then let him be the offensive coordinator for 1 game. He might light a fire under him, have like a nice first drive. But Revis with the Patriots. So, I'm in high school. I'm in high school, and 2012, week 3 or 4, the Jets play the Dolphins. And Revis, my friends are, I'm a crazy Revis guy. My buddy's like, yo, hope Revis gets hurt. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, why? Like, high school kids say stupid shit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Revis tears ACL. I'm like, motherfucker. Dude, like, I hope Reeves gets traded. I'm like, he's not getting traded, you idiots. Traded to the Bucks. I'm like, motherfuckers. Then they're like, hope he goes to the Patriots. I'm like, you wouldn't fucking dare. Goes to the Patriots.
Goes to the Patriots, right?
Christ. And then I was shopping. I think I was shopping for my prom suit. And I'm like refreshing my phone 1,000 times. Free agency. Jets signed Reeves 5-year, $70 million deal. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, then Cromartie comes back and
pandemonium. Yeah, dude. The funny thing about Cromartie, I used to have a radio show in college. I went to Monmouth, and I was, I would like announce the basketball games, and I had my own sports show. And Connor Hughes was a student at Monmouth, and I was friendly with Connor, so I had him come on the show. And I'm talking to Connor. We're just bullshitting, whatever. It's like a random time, like a Wednesday morning. And Connor's looking at his phone. I'm like, you good, bro? He's like, dude, just got some breaking news. And he broke the Cromartie signing to the Jets on my ridiculous radio show. Like, just so random.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. So we always joke about that. But that was fucking – I was the first person other than Connor or Cromartie to know that Cromartie was signing.
That is cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Oh, my
Good
goodness.
stuff, man.
Mike, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Always a pleasure, boys. We'll have you on.
Thank you, my man.
I keep saying it, but
You're good, man.
We'll really do it, and it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Well, eventually we're gonna have you and Matt on because I think that'd be.
We need this duo. We need this duo.
Look, I thought it was happening, an hour and a half ago, but
we all did. We all did. I didn't even go back and change the graphic yet. I'm like, whatever. Maybe we'll draw more people in.
No, I'm not changing anything. We're not changing that.
Use us.
I'm using it. We're rolling with it.
But,
oh my goodness.
All right, man. So let's just hope and pray for some winning football. Let's hope that we get there, man. I think we could do it. Super exciting times for the New York Jets. Mike, where can everybody find you? Where can everybody listen to your podcast? What is the name of your podcast? Just one more time.
So I'm NYJ Mike on Twitter. My buddy is NYJ Matt. Together we run the Broadway Jets podcast. Come out, give it a listen. If you're going to listen to the Everything NYJ podcast, listen to that instead. It's a terrific podcast. But I'm NYJ Matt. I'm NYJ Mike, and my buddy's NYJ Matt. And this has been an absolute pleasure. The Jets are going to make the playoffs. They're going to win the last 2 games. The Patriots are going to get their dicks kicked in one of the next 2 games. And it's going to be very, very satisfying to take that final spot from them. Going to bask in their glory, do horrible things on Twitter, be obnoxious, let it all out. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been 12 years. The last time the Jets made the playoffs, I was fucking 13, 13, 14 years old.
I was 12.
I was 9.
I was 12.
Yeah, if you were 12, then I must have been younger if you're 30.
Did you know you weren't 12?
I was 14.
I remember it plain as day.
12 years 12 years ago. You were probably 18.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant something else. That's
yeah. Anyway, Jets are making the playoffs. Mike White's going to lead us to the promised land. It's going to be very strange, but it's going to happen.
That's right.
That's it. It's a fact.
All right. Yeah. All right, Ginny, you want to pull up the social graphic?
I guess.
Yeah, why not, right?
That's a nice graphic.
All right, you can follow Everything NYJ on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and, of course, YouTube. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new here, if you haven't done so already. We really appreciate it. Helps us bring wonderful guests like Mike on. Maybe one day Matt will return back to the show. We really hope so. Follow Italy Jet, if he pulls that one up. Let's see. There it is. Gino Antonio Pagano, Italy Jet on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. The Snapchat gets pretty wild at times. You don't want to miss that. I guarantee you that.
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
And thank you, Adam Gase, for bringing us Joe Douglas. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah. All right. All right,
Thanks,
Mike,
guys.
we're going to wrap this up. It's been a pleasure, man. Definitely have to do it again. Go Jets, man. Have a good night. We'll talk Jets soon.
Take care, boys.
Peace.